everybody, my name is Cassidy and welcome back to the O'Donnell Homestead. Today I wanted to sit down and chat with you about a subject that I think needs to be broached very gently and delicately, but also I think is an extremely important thing to be talking about right now. And that is nourishing your family, eating nutritious foods while on a budget and while also protecting your mental health. So I want to preface this video by saying that I do hold a certificate from the National Academy of Sports Medicine in fitness nutrition, and I have done a ton of research on my own. I am not a nutritionist and I am not a doctor, and so if you are struggling with something that you need professional help with, please go seek professional care. I am not here to diagnose you, and I am not here to tell you the right or wrong way to, eat or feed yourself. I'm just offering a little bit of insight into the way that we eat and how it's working for us and how we are going to continue to nourish ourselves going forward and how our bodies work best. I also wanted to say that while I will be talking about our grocery budget and the foods that we eat, I'm not here to tell you exactly what to buy and how much you should be spending. And I don't want to encourage you to spend more than you think you need to or spend more than your budget allows. That would be irresponsible, and in the long run, that wouldn't be a healthy decision for you. So again, evaluate your budget and take from this what you find is applicable to your life and use it that way. But then, put your blinders on a little bit in the places that you need to. Have you ever heard the saying, take the fish, eat the fish and spit out the bones? That's exactly what I mean when I say that disclaimer. Take what you can from this and please learn something from it. I hope that you learn something from it. And I hope that this encourages you if you're struggling on your health journey to do what's best for you and your body. So I wanted to talk about this subject because I feel very convicted by the way the food system works today. And so for years, I've done a lot of research on it. And for years, I've come up with the same conclusion every single time. So to give you a little bit of a backstory before we jump right in, back in 2015, I underwent gastric sleeve surgery. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a weight loss surgery procedure to help people become healthier by losing weight. I am not going to say that I completely disagree with my decision to have the surgery at this point in my life. However, I will say that it did cause me a lot of trouble in the next few years. So I had the surgery when I was 19 years old. I literally just turned 19. I graduated high school in May and I had the surgery in December. So I lost 142 pounds altogether by the time that I had lost all the weight that I was going to after I had this surgery. And I also lost a lot of other things as well. So I just want to, I wanted to say that it's not always rainbows and butterflies. The surgery was designed to make me healthier, but in reality, it actually really destroyed my mental health. For a while afterwards, I really began to kind of equate my worth with how small I was, and then I began to make really unhealthy decisions from there. So I have gained weight back. I have not gained all of the weight that I lost back, and it is a work in progress for me to now become a healthier person because of all of the trouble the surgery has kind of given me. I had to have my gallbladder out because of the surgery. I ended up being diagnosed with an eating disorder and an over-exercising disorder. And so again, I'm not saying that the decision to have the surgery was wrong. I am just saying that this kind of leads me to where we are today. I do have a healthier relationship with food now, and I do have a healthier relationship with exercise now. And now I'm at a point in my life where I really want to put these things into practice more intentionally and responsibly. So I hold a fitness nutrition specialization from National Academy of Sports Medicine, as well as a personal training certification, which I have to renew. But that's besides the point. The personal training I have to renew, the fitness nutrition I still have. So I'm not saying any of what I'm about to say with no insight on what all of this means and any educational, background information from it. So, without further ado, let's start off at what I think is one of the most important things when it comes to nutrition and health, and that is basically relearning and reevaluating everything that you think that you might know. So number one is relearning and reevaluating everything you think you might know. Basically, right now, the diet industry makes over $60 billion a year, and 57% of US women are on a diet right now. So before we go forward, I want you to really think about those numbers and what that means for people. So for years and years and years, people were eating to survive. And it wasn't until around the 80s that the idea of heart health and, being thin for looking nice has been around for much longer, but dieting wasn't really popular until around between the 60s and the 80s. So people were eating to survive. You go to the local farmer's market and you buy your food to survive. And it wasn't until, processed foods and microwavables and sort of like those TV dinners and everything like that became introduced to our modern diet that we kind of started to question what we knew. While I am not going to say that all of the time those things are bad, I think there's a time and a place for most things. I think most things have a time and a place for them, and I'm not going to lie and say that I don't believe in a lot of the things that our modern food system pushes in our direction. I do think that there is a time and a place. Anyway, so we're going to completely unlearn everything we think we know, and be open to accepting things you never thought you might. So what I mean by that is, how for so many years we're taught, eat margarine instead of butter. Well, that has completely flipped around, and that's not true at all. We're told for many years to use vegetable oils, but they're really toxic for us, and we shouldn't be using them, really. And we should be using things like lard and tallow and all those things that kind of we were told are a big no-no by doctors for very many years are actually the things that are really going to nourish you. Think anything that is naturally driven, from the earth that you can eat, that is what you want to strive for. So I think the best way that you can do your own research on this is by using this book, and this book is called Nourishing Traditions. It is based around the Weston A Price Foundation. Sally Fallon, she wrote this book based on the studies of Weston A Price. He was a dentist. He went around to all of these different cultures and all these different tribal communities to try and learn about how they lived and what was making them healthier, essentially, and live longer than the American or than the regular everyday average Joe. And he found that there are these nourishing traditional foods that we should all be eating to support our health. I would love to do a series on the Nourishing Traditions book because I don't think there's a lot of information about this on YouTube, and I think it's something that a lot of people could benefit from learning, if that makes sense. So I will do that in the future. Basically, this unlearning that we have to do is around what we think is healthy and what is actually healthy. So we kind of go around with this blinded view of what we should be eating and how we should be eating it. For example, you might go on Instagram and see a lot of influencers telling you to put chia seeds in everything and to put, you know, superfoods and acai bowls and loads of avocado and putting butter in your coffee. Like, you don't have to do all of these crazy fad things. These are all things that feed into that diet industry that we were talking about that rakes in $60 billion a year. You know, it's not really, if I'll just put it this way. If diets worked, why would you always be on one? Don't you think that if diets worked, people would go on them and never have to think about it again? That's because they don't work. They actually have about a 5% success rate. So would you, I was told by my nutritional therapist that I saw a couple of years ago, she said to me, you know, would you ever get on a plane that had a 95% chance of crashing? And of course you'd say, well, no way. Like, why the heck would I do that? Well, like, why would you go on a diet then? Because it has a 95% chance of failing. So long story short, don't go on a diet. Don't feed in to all of these trendy diet trends, these trendy ideas of what health is, and kind of try to get back to your roots as much as possible. Think about what your great-great-grandma might have eaten, or even your great-grandma, depending on how old you are, and kind of go from there. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm trying to be as concise as possible when I say kind of take everything you think you know and evaluate it, chew on it, think about it, and then do a little bit more research beyond just the top 4 or 5 Google searches. I would really encourage you to look into the Weston A Price Foundation and Nourishing Traditions if you have any more in-depth questions about those things, because they're really great resources in order to find, you know, answers to those questions that you might have. If you have any that you might want to ask, feel free to leave a question in the comments box down below and I'll answer or point you in the direction of any articles or links that I can that might be able to answer them for you. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about was combating food fears and accepting where you are right now. So what I mean by this is combating the idea, again, this kind of goes with the first one, the first talking point, and that means like when you're reevaluating what you think is healthy and when you realize that, you know what, like maybe I shouldn't be eating 6 green smoothies a day and maybe I should be having more protein, maybe I shouldn't be completely cutting out carbohydrates, that can be very scary, especially if you're coming from a disordered mindset like I was. I was afraid to eat anything that I considered or I deemed bad in my head. So you kind of have to work with yourself in order to get over those fears so that you can move forward in your health journey this way. So combating those fears by staring them right in the face and working really hard to get over them, and then accepting where you are at this very present moment are 2 fundamental tools, in my opinion, in order to lead a healthy lifestyle. So this might mean that you need to go talk to a therapist, or this might mean that you need to sit down with someone who's really close to you and say to them, this is what I'm struggling with, this is how I'm trying to move through it, and this is where I'd like to be, in order to kind of give yourself a backbone, another stake to sort of lean on when you feel like you're kind of flopping all around in the wind. Because there's a lot of information out there, you guys. There's so much that it can become really overwhelming, especially when you're trying to be the healthiest person that you can be. And when someone's telling you that everything you know is wrong or everything you think you know is wrong, that can be a little bit uprooting, if you will. So definitely find out what you think your food fears are, or your fears surrounding food, or your weight, or your health are, and try to get to the bottom of them and try to sort them out. And also accept where you are right now. And that means that accept the fact that you might not be as thin as you think you should be, or that you might not be as muscular as you think you should be. Just accept where you are right now, because in order to be able to grow and learn, you kind of have to just keep your feet planted and just give yourself all the tools that you need in order to be able to do that. So this means not being super hard on yourself. This means not, feeding yourself a bunch of junk food and wallowing away in self-pity because you think that you should be XYZ. Accept where you are right now, diminish as many fears as you can, and kind of try to treat yourself as a fresh start, and you'll be fine. I promise you this. And every single day, you don't have to fear what you did the day before. So I always think about this, like in a dieting mindset, we're taught, oh, well, I'll start over tomorrow. Let that go. Just move on with your life. Relax. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just feed yourself good, nutritious whole foods. So this leads me into my third talking point in what we eat. So we eat primarily whole foods based, which means that we eat a lot of vegetables, we eat a lot of meat, we eat a lot of butter, good quality fats, good quality grains, and good quality everything. That is the two words I want you to remember the most, is good quality. Because there's a lot that can go under that umbrella. And again, without going too far into, pinpointing exactly what you should be doing, good quality is a good place to start. Because guess what? Not everyone likes the same things. So while I'm going to tell you what I generally buy at the grocery store and some of the sources that I use for these things, you might be thinking, this sounds disgusting. I do not like that. And that's okay too. But this is just a basic understanding of like good whole quality foods. This means that we source our meats mostly not from the regular old grocery store anymore, because the meat industry is absolutely disgusting. You can do your own research on that, but I will say that, and I will say that with vigor, because that's something that you could argue with me as much as you want. The food system in our country, in the United States at least, is pretty broken, and the meat system is probably one of the worst ones. So I do work pretty hard in terms of trying our very best to source very good quality, grass-fed, pasture-raised meats whenever possible. So how we do this is we use a company called Crowd Cow. We are not sponsored by them. They are not affiliated with us in any sort of way. We just really like them. We've been using them for the past few months. We also source locally. So I will go to the local farmers market in the summer months and I will pick up meat from a local farmer. And then when the farmers market's not happening, we go directly to them. And anytime we can find any good quality meats at the grocery store that are grass-fed and grass-finished and all that stuff, we pick them up when we can. Try not to overwhelm yourself in terms of this, because again, this can be a really hard thing to start off by doing, especially if you live in a very in a city area or somewhere where you don't have as much access to farmers. This can be hard. So Crowd Cow is a great companies to look into. I've heard a lot of people say they really like Butcher Box. Do your own research, but find a company that sources food responsibly and ethically, and you get good quality stuff. Next year, we're looking into buying half a cow from a local farmer, so I'm very excited about that. We're splitting it with my parents, so we'll see how that goes. Another company that we use to source a lot of our food is Thrive Market. We do get a lot of stuff from there that we can't find at our local grocery stores. We live in a pretty small area, so some things that I want to get are very hard to find at our grocery store, especially when it comes to the organic version. So you might be able to find something that maybe has less good ingredients that I can get on Thrive Market that I really appreciate. Things like Jovial Foods products. So I'll go into a little bit more detail about this when I talk about the groceries that we buy, but I source all of that from Thrive Market. And then otherwise, the grocery stores that I use are local to us. We use Wegmans. There are a few mom and pop grocery stores that we go to whenever we can. And we use Aldi sometimes, but Wegmans has been like more of my favorite lately. So I wrote down here basically kind of what I'm always buying from the grocery store. And I kind of came up with about a monthly cost that we spend. So the total monthly cost that we generally spend month to month on groceries is around $300 to $400. Now this is very dependent on whether it's a meat month for us or not, because we buy a lot of meat all at one time to throw in our chest freezer. And a lot of this is dependent on what we're cooking, how much of it we're cooking, what time of year it is. Right now, the past couple times I've gone to the grocery store, I usually go every 2 weeks, just about. We've been spending around that much. That includes the Crowd Cow and the Thrive Market. So Crowd Cow, we generally spend around $100 to $130. We don't order from them the same amount every single time. So sometimes it might be a little bit more than that, and sometimes it might be less, just depending on where we are in our freezer situation. Then Thrive Market, kind of same thing, depends on what we need. So a lot of times we end up spending around $40 from there. I source a lot of things like tea and different kind of oils that are organic from there. They have really good prices on things like that. We spend, like I said, usually between $40 and $70 a month on that, sometimes more and sometimes less. And then the regular grocery store, we're usually around, per trip, $100, give or take. Like I said, it's very, very dependent on situationally when we're going and what's in our fridge and what's in our freezer and kind of what we have on the menu for 2 weeks at a time, because that's how we usually try to grocery shop. So I wrote down what I always buy from the store. Basically, every single time I go, these are the vegetables that I get. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, mushrooms, onions, shallots, garlic, if I don't have any that we have grown, green beans, Brussels sprouts, radishes, peppers, carrots, parsnips, romaine lettuce, spinach, and broccoli. Those are generally the vegetables that we use every single week. Now, sometimes there are different ones that we might add to this list, and sometimes there are less than this, but this is generally what we're always buying. Now, in terms of fruit, this time of year, we have made an executive decision to only buy frozen fruit that's really good quality, because the fresh fruit is just not any good. Let's be real. If you've been to the grocery store this time of year and bought strawberries and 2 days later they are rotting in your fridge, it's because they have been sitting there for God only knows how long. From the aisles, we always try to get tortillas, corn chips, coffee, and like peanut butter and things like that. Again, always looking for those good quality items when you can get your hands on them. We always try to do organic as much as possible anymore. Oh, I forgot leeks. We buy leeks a heck of a lot too. Okay, so dairy, we always have cheese, we always have butter, and we always have yogurt in the house. I really love Kerrygold butter. I love Kerrygold cheese. Those are the two cheese, like Kerrygold is like what I buy a lot. It's from Ireland. Good quality stuff. A lot better. Everything's grass-fed there from that company. And then we get some raw milk cheeses. We have raw milk delivered to us by a CSA. That's another thing we do a lot. That's another thing that we started doing recently, is having a CSA deliver us milk, eggs, any local produce and meat that we can get our hands on from them. And it's really affordable, and I absolutely love them. We will continue to work with them for as long as we possibly can. It's the best thing we've ever done. Yogurt, I really like Nancy's brand, and there's another one that I cannot remember, and if I can remember it, I will put the little text box here. So staples that we always have in our pantry that we generally end up getting from Thrive Market are things like Jovial's crushed tomatoes, Jovial's boxed pasta. We use Jovial einkorn flour, nuts. I buy lard from any local source I can get it from, or they have it at Wegmans. It's not the best. It's not the best version, but it's better. Olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, herbs, really good salt. We use Celtic sea salt. I'll leave a link to that down below also, because you can get that basically anywhere. It's also on Thrive Market. Love that company. We use them all the time. So those are basically our, staples. I make bread at home. If we have hamburgers or something, I make that at home. So Crowd Cow, what I order from them generally for the month is about 5 pounds of ground beef, give or take, maybe a little bit more, depending on, you know, what I'm cooking. 5 to 6, let's say 5 to 7 pounds of ground beef. We buy lamb, usually do 5 to 7 pounds of lamb, depending on where we're at with it. Maybe not that much lamb, maybe 2 or 3 pounds of lamb. 2 or 3 pounds of lamb, usually in form of ground lamb or lamb steaks, anything like that. We get those around here, not at Crowd Cow though. Then we buy whole pastured chickens. I usually get 7 of them, I think, for the month. 6 or 7 of them for the entire month. I source our steak locally. Oh, I wanted to apologize that it's dark in here. I had to go get a new battery. But anyway, steaks I try to source locally. Seafood I use Crowd Cow for when I can. And bacon I get on Crowd Cow. We usually buy about 8 pounds of bacon a month, which sounds like a lot, but we eat it for breakfast almost every day. Eggs we get from the CSA box also, and then I'll just buy good quality eggs from the grocery store to fill in the gaps of what we don't get from them. All that's to say, I think I'm going to split this video in 2, and I think I'm going to do a whole meal planning video with you guys, and then take you maybe grocery shopping with me next week to kind of show you exactly what I'll get based on the meal plan. But I did want to kind of give you a baseline of what we usually or always have in our house in order to, like, you know, feed ourselves. We always have herbs and stuff like that as well that maybe we don't get every single time that we go grocery shopping. So next video, this one will have been all about, you know, eating well, my background on nutrition, why I think it's important that you reevaluate everything that you think you might know and kind of do your own research, combating your food fears, and accepting where you're at and what we generally buy at the grocery store in our grocery bill. Since we went through all of that in this video, and it's pretty long already, the next video we will do a meal plan for this coming week, which is, today's Sunday, so I'll do it for this week coming up based on what I have in the fridge. And then I usually go grocery shopping like Wednesday or Thursday, depending on, you know, when I get to there. So, all right, you guys, so I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you took something from it, and I hope that you're encouraged to start your, you know, healthful journey in life and kind of just reevaluate what you might know. And then going forward, I will be pulling some information from the Weston A Price Foundation and Nourishing Traditions to kind of give you a bit of background on that for more education on that subject. Go eat some meat and butter. I'm not trying to be judgmental when I say that, but just go eat some good quality meat, some good quality butter, get yourself some cheese, good veggies, sourdough bread. You will be just fine. Have a beautiful day, my friends. I'm going to go read on the couch right now and wait for my husband to get home. We are having lamb steaks with smooshed Brussels sprouts crisped up in the oven. And I'm not entirely sure what we're doing for carbohydrate, if we'll even have one, because I don't even know. I might just do double the Brussels sprouts. So have a beautiful day, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, consider subscribing to our channel, liking it, sharing it with a friend, and comment down below if you have any questions about, you know, nourishing traditions or eating well, eating healthy, or if you think you might have an eating disorder, kind of maybe some sources that you may be able to reach out to and all that fun, beautiful stuff. So, yeah. I kind of wanted to make this video because I've been feeling convicted about my own food choices lately. I've been eating way too much sugar. So what better way than to keep yourself accountable? Have a great day, you guys. Slancha. Until next time. Say hi, Fergus. Say hello to the camera. Oh, here's Murta. Look at the beautiful baby. Say hi to the camera. Say hello. Love these cats. I freaking love them. Hey guys, I'm coming back to you the next morning just to say that this is going to be the first video in a series that I'm going to be entitling Nourish. And it's all going to be about nourishing your body, nourishing your mind, and healthy ways to do that without, you know, hurting your mental health while doing it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, the first one, all about facing your food fears and moving forward in this journey that you have. So thank you again from my crazy animal family, and we hope to see you in the next video. Sláinte. Until next time.